I've got the answer right here, ladies and gentlemen, to everything that ails you. Now step right up.
One who quacks like a duck about his salves and remedies. The cruel practice of making money on people's worries, feared throughout the years as quackery.
I said cured of backache, nervousness,
What the hell is up, quackheads? How y'all doing this this quarantine week? We got another special episode here of Quackery coming at you with Will the Pill here with my man John Boy. And this week we are doing magnets.
Magnets?
Fucking attractive, right? Hell yeah. And this one actually was a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be good, and it turned out to be awesome. So you guys are in for a treat here. Yeah, the first one, you know what I'm going to ask is, okay, do you know anything about using magnets for health? Like as treatment for people?
No, the only thing I can think of is it's something to do with the electromagnetic wave, you know, and I don't know much about that, but
yeah,
some people think it's healthy.
Yeah, so a lot of people probably, maybe the one people would have heard of the most is the bracelets. You know, those magnetic bracelets?
Yes, I had some. Yeah, I've seen those at the mall. Yeah. I think one of the football players wears one of those.
Dude, a lot of athletes wear them. They think, we'll get into what's going on with that. Man, it is crazy to see my quarantine hair growing. I'm getting like an afro, and that's with these headphones on.
Yeah.
My God. Whoo.
Dude, I'm about to get married, man.
I know.
And I don't
that's
even...
fantastic.
And my hair is like wild.
I'm going to come to the wedding wearing a beekeeper suit, you know, for protection.
Well, we are doing mask.
Oh, nice.
But just for pictures and shit.
I took that day off work, so we'll be there, man. So magnet therapy, we'll get into that later. So right now, we have a clip here from my buddy Leo. He has the way that we hooked up was he has a YouTube channel. It's called Intuition, Math, and Science. And he basically just teaches people little things about math and science. He just finds learning fun and interesting, and he's always wanting to challenge himself. And he was... and he made a channel because that's what he likes to do, man. He like sits down and reads textbooks and stuff. It's crazy.
Holy shit.
In his free time.
That is awesome.
He's really smart. He's a really smart guy. So we'll play this recording here from Intuition, Math, and Science about what a magnet is, because they kind of confuse me.
Hey, Quackheads. This is Leo from Math and Science Intuition. For today's discussion on magnetic bracelets, I just want to give a quick summary of how magnets work. Most of us are familiar with magnets since we tend to have them all over our refrigerators. But our intuition about the inner workings of magnets came from a Dutch scientist named Hans Oersted in the early 1800s. Hans realized that a compass needle would start shifting when it was placed next to a wire with an electrical current. This gave us the insight that a magnet is a phenomenon that comes from the uniform movement of charged particles. And obviously, some materials are more magnetic than others, with metals tending to be more magnetic because electrons have an easier time moving around and creating a magnetic field in metals than they do in other elements.
Okay, thank you, Leo. And to learn more, obviously head on over to YouTube and subscribe to his channel, Intuition, Math, and Science. He has, he's going to do an in-depth thing with magnets, even going to do like problems with magnets, like math problems, physics problems, if you guys are into that kind of stuff. What I will start with is the original, the OG magnets, and they have the most badass name, the Lodestone.
Oh.
You heard of those? It sounds like a video game, like, item. I acquired the Lodestone, and I had +10 to intellect and willpower. So that's just a naturally magnetized piece of metal. It's actually called magnetite, is what they call that. They attract iron. They found out they attracted iron. They also called them guiding stones because they would use them in original compasses. And that's how people were able to sail the ocean blue. Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, apparently that's what got Einstein into his, wonderment of the universe. when his grandpa gave him a compass, and he sat there and tried to figure out how it worked.
Oh, that's cool. It's crazy how inquisitive people like that, if they just have an idea, like, wonder what that is.
Yeah.
So, for instance, like, actually, Leo was telling me at one point, he said, did you know that when Thomas Edison invented the light bulb, people asked him, with that filament, they said, what are the black spots on the light bulb? And he said, I don't know. Whatever. I just care about it working, because he was practical.
Yeah.
And so people wanted to find out. So they actually found out those are the electrons. So they discovered a base element of the universe from being inquisitive, and they discovered electrons.
That's awesome.
Yeah, pretty neat. Yeah. So, okay. So let's get into the quackery of this.
Quackery? What these
so
things
the
work?
history. Yeah, well, we'll get into what works. The history of using magnets to heal. So they say it goes back to at least 2000 BC when they were using the lodestones. Aztecs, Greeks, Egyptians, Chinese. They actually said, Cleopatra?
Yeah.
So they said that she was so beautiful because she wore like a band that had magnets in it. So it was supposed to keep her beauty and help her sleep. There's actually a theory about why they thought that would work. Like, they thought if putting a magnet near a certain part of your brain that controls sleep, they thought like that's what she was doing. I'm like, I don't know if she had it figured out.
Does it go all the way around her head? So
I don't think we have like the replica of it. This was all obviously rumored because this is a long time ago. But she wears like those headdresses, so maybe it's in there, giving her superpowers. Like Magneto. Which, by the way, I always thought was one of the most badass X-Men. You can control that metal. I love that.
I was more.
Who's your favorite X-Man?
Sabretooth.
Wolverine. Oh, that's a good one.
No, actually, to be honest, like mine was Gambit. Like, and I've always liked Gambit. And Gambit's not even in the movies, is he?
He's in the. Yeah, no, he is in the X-Men Origins Wolverine. He's played by the same dude who plays. He's in Friday Night Lights, the TV show.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about, that guy. Yeah, no, he's actually. I mean, you're right. He's probably one of the coolest characters. What they say his power is? Like, he just like puts kinetic energy into moving objects, so he can just like fly a playing card and it'll blow through a wall. That's pretty baller.
Yes.
I gotta admit. Okay, so magnetic therapy kind of gained some publicity where there was this homeboy. His name was he went by Paracelsus. So listen to what his real name was. I would have gone by my real name. It was Philippus Aurelius Theophrastus Bombastus von Hohenheim. I mean, if that name ain't balling as shit.
Yeah. Bombastus.
Bombastus. Theophrastus Bombastus. It's like he's the original rapper, man.
Yeah.
They call me Paracelsus.
Dude,
I'm Aurelius Thalius Bombastius from the flastiest.
Dude, he looks OG, man. Look at his like tilted hat,
Yeah, no, that's what's funny is you would have thought like when someone was cool back then, they would make sure all the paintings of them look good.
Yeah.
Like, he's got clearly has his double chin here. I'll put this picture up on quackerypodcast.com. He did a lot of medical work back then. He lived from 1940, excuse me, not 1493 to 1541.
That was during the Enlightenment, right?
I guess it's the comeback. The comeback kids, man, from the Dark Ages, right?
Comeback kids. Bombastus.
Dude, Theophrastus Bombastus von Hohenheim. You can't beat.
Is he? So he's German?
I mean, Hohenheim definitely sounds like some sort of German, or maybe he's like Count. Maybe he's friends with Count Dracula. Either way, he reasoned that since magnets have the power to attract iron, that maybe they can also attract disease and suck it out of the body. I mean, it's a pretty, it's not the worst idea I've ever heard. So he had this idea that, like, there's life force in the human body. I guess a lot of people still think of that. So he liked to treat illnesses by replenishing what he called the archaeus, which just means the ancient life force, with energy found in foods and herbs. And he liked to use magnets to energize and influence the body's life force to start the healing process on its own. Paracelsus, he advocated that people use magnets to energize and influence people's life force, and it would start the body's healing process. Kind of like it wouldn't heal anything. It would just, boost up your life force so you could treat everything from inflammation to diarrhea to epilepsy. So
but I mean, they know that the body doesn't have any metals in it,
Hey, they don't know. They're just experimenting with stuff, and they're trying to figure something out. There also were people who would do all sorts of stuff with magnets, back around that period, because he started using it. So they would crush up lodestones and get people to eat it. They would put it on like wounds. And the funny part was, I read that they probably thought that it worked for wounds, because when you crush up something like that, put it on an open wound and then wrap it, like you're going to make it clot. And then when you wrap it up, it's going to keep it from getting infected. So those people probably did well. No help from the magnetite, but they're probably healed. So then that perpetuates, like, that it works. So then there was this gentleman in 1600. He was actually the court physician to Elizabeth I of England. He published a scientific treatise on magnetism he called De Magnet. Or Magnet. De Magnet. Maybe that's what it is. Yeah, it just basically, he wanted to sum up everything everyone knew up to that point about magnets. Even though he was the court physician, it wasn't just everything about like treating people. It was like, well, this thing holds more magnetic charge than this type of metal, steel versus iron. And he was actually the person credited with describing the Earth as a big magnet, because it has poles north and south. So that's pretty badass.
Yeah, that's like the picture there. It kind of looks like he's in the planet, Yeah, we'll put the picture of the book, Dead Magnet, up on quackerypodcast.com. And so he liked it. He said that the lodestone could be beneficial in many diseases in the human system. So that's William Gilbert there. All right, now here's a guy after our own hearts here. I don't know. Have you heard of this guy? You may have heard of him indirectly. Mesmer,
but his name is Franz Anton Mesmer.
Yeah, he's the hypnotist, right?
That's right.
Yeah, because
that's where we come up with the term mesmerize.
Yeah, so we talked about that one time. I don't remember what episode, but yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you had mentioned him, because I remember the mesmer and mesmerize. I can't remember what episode you mentioned him on, but I know it was one.
I bet it was probably Hysteria. Because he did a lot of stuff with the women.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shoot, man, I can't remember. Anyway, he was in the 18th century, he was a mathematician and a physician, and he really liked the idea that magnetic energy flowing through the universe was inside the body, the same energy. So he thought that he could align people's magnetic poles in their body and help them heal, illnesses especially with seizures. He thought that had to do with someone's poles being off of alignment. But he also did a bunch of other stuff. He was obviously mesmerize, where he would hypnotize people. And at first he would apply magnets, and then it was basically just suggest, the power of suggestion. Mm-hmm. Like he would put them in a trance and get them to do what he wanted. I've always wondered, I assume it's all bullcrap. Those if you go to a fair or something and the people go up there and they're all jumping around and mesmerized and hypnotized. Have you done that before?
No, but I went with a buddy. This was in high school, and he got up there and he told me it didn't work for him, but he went along with it, just because I don't know. Maybe it did work for him, but he said it didn't.
That's what everyone I've talked to who's gone up there says, that same thing. Oh, it didn't work for me, but the one person up there going crazy, I always assume that's a plant. Yeah. It's someone that they planted, but it's always fun either way,
So you don't believe in hypnosis?
Not like that.
Yeah.
I believe in it in such a way as like meditation, you can get someone into a trance-like state.
Yeah.
And you can, I think that's actually beneficial. You can get people, they can measure your brain waves and that kind of stuff. is beneficial. I don't know a ton about it. That could be maybe another episode where we talk about it. But they did an analysis of people's brains. So like when you say like archery, when they got like in a brainwave state where it was like in the zone, they actually could measure what in the zone was, because then when people got into the zone mentally, like it was like a meditative state, then they would like their accuracy, their precision was like way better. It was just like they were out of their mind, you know?
Yeah.
Good. That'd be a pretty cool thing to study if you're like a, athlete, if we ever have sports again. Other than, did you see Hafthor Bjornsson break the world record for the heaviest deadlift?
No.
501 kilograms.
What is that in pounds?
Something like 1,200 pounds,
God.
I think, something like that. Yeah, he's the dude who played the Mountain on Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's huge.
Jeez.
His name is Hafthor, which is the best name I think I've ever heard.
What's his name?
Like he's not quite Thor. He's Hafthor.
That's his name, Hafthor?
Hafthor. Yeah.
Jesus.
And he's like from Iceland or whatever, dude. He's a real life damn Norse mythology person. He's a Norse god. He's awesome. But so afterwards he got it, and then he challenged the guy because he only went 1 kilogram over. So there's this guy named Eddie who got 500, and he challenged Eddie to a fight on pay-per-view. He's gonna fight him. I can't wait. And Eddie went on there and he's like, "I'll fight you. I don't give a fuck. I'll fight you." I'm like, all right. This ought to be weird to watch. Two like big freaking, the two strongest guys in the world basically punching each other. What could go wrong? Oh my God. Yeah, but so Mesmer would use like all sorts of theatrics when he would do his thing. He would have music and light, and he would get it like sometimes he'd get all the people to like join hands, and then they would hold the magnet, and like they would feel the power of the magnet flowing through them. But mostly, I found him interesting because he learned the hypnosis, the mesmerizing, and apparently, I do want to do an entire episode just on him, because apparently he was big into like using his hypnotic suggestion to have like orgies.
Well, the magnets
awesome,
work. The magnets work better with the clothes, are off, man.
Yeah, you get better. I mean, that's just science. I think we'll have to check with our contact here on that. But I think when you got your clothes off, better magnetism.
Yeah.
Things. I mean, I'm always more attractive with my clothes on, but. Okay. All right. So, guy, I kind of like WD or kind of like Mesmer here. A gentleman named W.D. Jones. Now we're getting into the 1800s here. We're gonna get a lot of people whose names are initials. I don't know what it was, but they just love to go by their initials. They'd call me W. Pill, and I do quackery. So. He did. So this guy, here's an advertisement for him. It says, Jones' method is nature's remedy, purely scientific. Professor W.D. Jones' cures are made rapidly and permanently. No medication being used. He gives his personal attention to all letters of inquiry. Right for his 24-page magnetic leader. It is free and will be mailed to any address. And then he also has his own National School of Magnetic Healing. W.D. Jones and Son. So it sounds like it has to do with magnets, but magnetism, it was like a therapeutical system. Like it was also healing power of suggestion. They call themselves magnetic healers. The only reason I put it on here is because it says magnetic healing, but it was more like Mesmer, like the power of suggestion. Like they were, I guess they just did it because it was like a trendy name. Kind of like when we did the cocaine episode, and I was like, they would call it cocoa wine, cocaine wine, but it was coconut or whatever. Or not cocaine wine, but the other products. So they said, at least with this stuff, they didn't use because at the time, most of the drugs were really dangerous. They were either poisonous or just full of alcohol or laudanum or all kinds of shit in there. So at least this stuff wasn't dangerous, but that's just a little quick note there. Before we move on to the notorious R-O-B-B, Mr. Byron H. Robb. They said he is aptly named Mr. Rob because he's going to rob from you.
What?
He was quoted to be called a convicted perjurer and a damnable villain. One of his many businesses was the electromagnetic brush company. So there was this galvanic hairbrush that was actually invented in England. So he basically just saw it and he made his own patent in America for the exact same thing. And he said that it was electromagnetic, but there was no electro to it. It was just a weak lodestone basically in a brush. And it didn't do anything, but he said it would heal all sorts of things and could even warn off sudden death.
Oh wow. Electricity is life.
Electricity
the friend
is life.
of humanity. Mm-hmm. I love this guy.
Dude, he's amazing. Yeah, the friend of humanity. It will help. There will be no sleepless nights, no softening of the brain, no sudden death. It will. That's caused by the overtaxation of the mental powers or exhaustion of your nervous system. Softening of the brain. Oh my God.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's not all he did. So there was actually in 1880. So the post office started putting out the mailers, kind of like when they did the Nostrums and Quackery.
Yeah.
So this was a different one, just that the post office would send out. So it was basically like a Better Business Bureau before that existed, and they called it a list of parties known or believed to be guilty of fraudulent practices. So he had 9 businesses on the list. Including the Electromagnetic Brush Company, the American and European Secret Service Company, Monitor Lamp Company, so he said he had these lamps, which were like, what would it be? Oil lamps, whatever that kind of oil was. What's in those
I think it was
lamps?
whale oil, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, and then after that, it was what? Not butane. Well, that's a kerosene lamp. I think that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever kind of thing was in those, he claimed that if you knocked it over in the middle of the night, it wouldn't burn your house down, which wasn't true. It was just as flammable as every other one. And strangely, one of he had another one. He had the Singapore Tobacco Company and Rob's Secret Service.
The Singapore is so weird.
Dude, he just made this crap up. All right, so as awesome as Byron H. Robb is, we have to move on to an even better guy who has an also appropriate name, David Daniel Palmer, Mr. D.D. Palmer.
Mr. D.D.
You know about this guy?
No.
D.D. No, the Palmer is actually the...
Arnold Palmer?
Not the double D. I don't know if he's related to old Arnie. He's a Canuck. He's a...
Canadian.
Oh, don't you know? Oh, D.D. Palmer's a hosiery. Come on in from Ontario. He's moved to the United States with his family, and he held various jobs such as beekeeper, school teacher, grocery store owner, and he was also interested in various philosophies of his day, including magnetic healing and spiritualism, don't you know? So he opened up his own school with no medical education whatsoever called the Palmer School of Cure, which is a pretty sweet name. And now it actually is still around by a different name.
University of Phoenix.
No, it actually is called the Palmer College of Chiropractic. So what he found out was he started off, so he actually went to prison for practicing, teaching medicine without a license. And when he got out, he said he was just going to go to jail. He wasn't going to pay the fine. But after 17 days, he paid the fine. And then after that, he sold it. So what he had found out, though, was like he used these magnets to basically rub on people. And he also found there was a gentleman at my school who was the janitor. And he was deaf his whole life. I think it was deaf or blind. One of those. I know that's a big distinction there. But he said, he had this big lump on his back. And so through manipulation, I was able to push it in. And then he could hear or see, whichever it was.
Crazy.
So, yeah. So he stopped kind of stopped with the magnets, even though he still believed in them, and he went more full bore with the manipulations and the chiropractic side of teaching. And by 1902, he had graduated 15 chiropractors. So that's when he went to jail in 1906 because he wasn't supposed to be teaching anyone. But after he got out, he sold the school to his son, B.J. Palmer. Can't decide which one, B.J. or Palmer.
Double D.
I know, man. They're pretty good names. But the palm, that's good. He's using his palms. These people, like, do you think they, like, just go into these things because they got the name for it?
Yeah,
or
so.
Is that just a coincidence? Yeah. We used to have a vet when I was growing up named Dr. Fur. I was like, I wonder if he just wanted to be a vet because his name was Dr. Fur.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet. So he also, of course, was against most mainstream medicine because he thought that, the chiropractic work could cure it all. Like he didn't like vaccination, anything like that.
My chiropractor thinks the same way. It's crazy. She thinks the same
I don't
damn way.
want to.
She's like, chiropractic can cure everything.
Yeah, and that's
my back feels amazing.
Definitely, yeah, we're definitely going to do a whole episode on chiropractors. There's definitely good and there's definitely quackery, and I want to help people understand the difference.
Yeah,
because you can hear some crazy shit that obviously we'll get into later. Okay, so we'll get back to DD's magnets. That reminds me of DD Peckers. You been there in Charleston?
No,
it's like a wing joint.
I wouldn't get
DD Peckers.
It's probably not open anymore. Oh
yeah, I'm sure it's not. You got to get DD's to go. You guys deliver Peckers? All right. So they said they actually talked to old BJ about his daddy, and he said my dad's magnetic treatments would consist of a patient lying down on a couch, back down. He'd lie down on the cat. He'd lie down on the couch, back down. So he would say his dad's magnetic treatments would consist of a patient lying basically back down, which I guess would mean face up.
Face up, yeah.
Hands resting above and below in 15-minute periods. So he would flow the magnetism to them, and then shift back and forth, and then he'd place one hand over the liver and the other under the back, and then the other under the liver, and then he would put the magnet there, and then he would put the magnet here, and he would try to pass the magnetism through their liver. But the crazy part is, so all this stuff, if you go to because I think the Palmer School, it's still there today. I looked in their libraries and stuff. They're very well organized. That thing's nice, and they really love D.D. Palmer, who started it. Obviously, they have a lot of respect for him. And you can find his old, magnetism, some of his old magnetism stuff in there. But most of it's obviously about his chiropractic work.
Yeah.
But he published this mailer called The Magnetic Cure, which later he then started, it became called the Chiropractic. And so this is a fun ad here. So it's right next to, you wear boots or shoes, style, price, or quality. Ladies find shoes from $1.35 to $3. It's right here. Dr. Palmer, Magnetic Healer. And it says, brain fever, lung fever, ague, rheumatism, sprains, and diseases of the heart. I don't know what brain fever and lung fever are, but ague is supposed to be some sort of malaria or some kind of illness that has a lot of fever or shivering and things like that.
Yeah.
It's a pretty sweet name, ague. I think we need to go back to
I've heard of that before. Maybe.
Yeah, we talked about it in some of our earlier episodes. And then rheumatism is just any inflammation, rheumatoid arthritis kind of thing. Sprains and diseases of the heart. So this was from the Davenport Quad City Times, 1891. Davenport, Iowa. Pretty cool. I like finding these old ads for how cool would it be to open up an old newspaper and be like, ooh, I can go get some magnet work done.
It's I wonder if this whole magnet thing, because it's around this time, it seems that, Tesla was doing his magnetism and all that stuff, and Michael Faraday before him. So I wonder if they just gravitated to that. It's magnets.
It was popular. Yeah. So there's a couple different kind of measurements for for magnetism. We'll get into why I'm going to talk about those here in a little bit. But one of them is the Tesla, big T.
Yeah.
That's a measure of the strength of a magnet. So pretty cool. So then we get in more modern day, starting in I guess we can say 1936, this gentleman named Albert Roy Davis, he made a discovery on magnetism when he accidentally left one of those horseshoe magnets, like we used to have in school. It's like red and it's got the South and the North Pole. So he said he left it in a box of worms, which is a weird place to leave a magnet. I'll give you that. But he said that he noticed that the worms next to the South Pole were about a third longer, thicker, and more active than the worms exposed to the North Pole. So he tried it several times, and it always worked, and that sometimes the North Pole worms would die.
Well, why did they just move?
So that's definitive proof.
So the worms are just in this one spot? Like, it's like a shoebox. They can move all around, right? I mean, I'm so confused.
I don't see how that's proof, because they move all the time. They got to move and eat. Anyway. So you love that, right? So that's proof. That's his proof that that magnetism is awesome. So he wrote a bunch of books. One of them here, I'll put the picture up on quackerypodcast.com. Magnetism and Its Effects on the Living System. It's written by Albert Roy Davis and Walter C. Rawlings Jr. Let's see. They also wrote The Magnetic Effect, The Rainbow in Your Hands, and The Magnetic Blueprint of Life. Because of this gentleman, who actually had his PhD, apparently, in the 1970s, he was studying the different effects of positive and negative charges on human biology, and he claimed that magnetic energy could kill malignant cells, relieve arthritis, and even treat infertility.
That's what we believe today. But
none of that stuff, that's what we're going to get into here. So here's some modern magnet therapy. So it's a multi-billion-dollar industry now.
Oh, nice.
With magnetic wristbands, rings, shoes, detox magnets, acupuncture magnets, posture correctors, dog collars. So you got to get the magnets going for your dogs. Headbands, neck bands, talismans. Like, you wear like a sweet talisman around your neck. They even have this like really, really expensive hot tub that's full of magnets. Crazy. They have them for weight loss. They put them in like knee braces, elbow braces, shit like that.
Yeah.
And they put them, my favorite is the female underpants, the underwear. And there's more too. So let's get into, I know you'd be the most interested in the female underwear first.
For the weight loss, right quick, do they just put the magnet inside the fridge so you can't open the door?
It's like a magnet that keeps the fridge closed.
Yeah.
You stick to the fridge, so when you open the door, you go back too. Oh my God. I'm going to put all these pictures up on quackerypodcast.com because they're hilarious. So the female magnetic therapy underwear. So they are supposed to do everything it's basically hysteria underwear. Right. If you remember from our hysteria episode, if you haven't listened to it, go back, check it out. They just attributed any feminine problems to being hysteria, and that we had to treat it with all these different kind of things, like vibrators. But this is amazing. You see some pictures here. There's this one here that has all this Chinese characters, and it said bacteriostatic, and it's got this weird magnet underwear this woman is wearing, and then it has like a big red glowing dot over her vagina. It's, I guess, it keeps her, I guess it just prevents coochie infections. I don't know, man.
That's weird. So
then there's another one.
If you had like a piercing, well, I'm not going to go there.
So they say they allegedly will help with infection, weight loss, to appear slimmer, because the magnets are going to suck you in more, I guess, like a Spanx, I guess. Yeah. Magnetic Spanx. They're supposed to improve, they get more enjoyable sex, increased libido, less painful periods, menopause, decreased menopause pain, and one of them said uterus support, so I'm not really sure. Maybe it's that old hysteria theory where the uterus is traveling all around your body, and so you got to bring that thing, back in line with a magnet. Look at this other one. It says magnetic therapy shaping underwear, and it's got this like this woman just putting her ass all up in the thing, and it's like it's gonna make your booty lift. Damn, if this stuff worked, man. I already ordered a whole bunch of these just for me so I can make my butt raise up. Figure it's worth a shot.
Yeah.
And there's another one that has like a cartoon woman, and it's like before, after, and she's like fat and then really skinny, and it says, let me take care of you. And this is like a really, really high-waisted underwear with like a magnet also in the belly area. Okay, so let's talk about those bracelets, because that's probably the thing that gets the most attention, probably sells the most. So I couldn't find it. It's kind of hard to pin down, because if you search this stuff, it's just going to bring up a bazillion advertisements to buy them. But as far as I can tell, Fred Couples, who's a PGA Tour golfer, in the 90s, he kind of made these trendy. He started wearing these, especially this brand called Ion Loop, they make these, they call them, I think, negative ion magnet bracelets. They're supposed to they stand apart with the highest levels of negative ion output. So it's like supposed to balance, your ions in your body, whatever the hell that means. I have no idea. It counteracts the harmful effects of positive ions. Not sure what the hell that is, but this gentleman here was wearing like 3 or 4 of them here. But they're just like magnets that are on a wristband around your wrist. Anyway. So does this work? Like, would these bands work? Because they're really big money, right? Well, so the theory goes, you have blood running through your body. Well, if you want it more in your extremity, like, you need your hands to be strong for golf, right?
Yeah.
So if you put magnets there, blood has iron in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So their theory was, well, if you put a magnet down there, it's going to help bring more blood flow to that area.
But is blood attracted? Is the iron like strong enough to be attracted?
Well, they did a study and they found no effect. They actually used a force field of 1T, which is 1 Tesla, which I'll tell you how strong that is here in a minute. Very strong. We'll just say that. And they found no effect on blood flow because of the way iron is connected to hemoglobin.
Yeah.
It's not affected.
And because we have iron in our blood, some people thought that using magnets would be a good way to increase blood flow in particular areas of the body. But this is quackery. It's quackery because we don't have blocks of iron in our blood. The iron in our blood is diluted and they're bound to hemoglobin proteins. We don't have enough concentrated iron to develop a magnetic field that would respond to magnetic bracelets. So I would advise you not to waste your money on magnetic bracelets. And if you guys want to learn more about magnetism and how to calculate magnetic intensity, just head over to my channel on YouTube. Just type in Leo Arzu, that's Leoarzu. Just type Leo Arzu in to the search bar and my page will pop up. All right, quackheads, enjoy.
They're basically like as strong as fridge magnets. We'll get into that because I have a comparison chart of magnets. And fridge magnets are like, if you put a sock in between a fridge magnet and the fridge, it's not even going to hold it up.
Yeah.
So they don't even go very far into your body. But then their other thing is like, okay, well, it's not going to attract more, but it's going to let it flow better because, there's a magnetic field keeping it in line, which is just, they found there's no such thing. It doesn't work. The hypothetical electromagnetic energy balance doesn't exist.
The placebo effect may be strong.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Hey, man, it's a strong thing. That's why a lot of these things continue to be used, even from, like we said, like you crush up some, lodestones, put them on a cut and it heals because you stop the bleeding. Well, then people are going to think it heals everything because, you thought that's what healed you. Your body just healed you. It didn't do anything. So have you heard of an MRI machine?
Yeah, I've gotten plenty of those.
Have you gotten into them? Yeah. What's that like? I've never been in those. Is it kind of scary?
No, not really. It's just, if you're claustrophobic, it is because it's a really tight hole.
Mm-hmm. How long are you in there?
Well, I did one for like my back and probably like 30 minutes, but I did one for my brain scans. I think that was a MRI or maybe that was a CAT scan. I don't know the difference, but that was about an hour of being in there.
So
no, it was
it's
MRI.
magnetic.
That
That's
was
that's
MRI.
crazy.
Yeah.
An MRI is magnetic resonance imaging. So the reason I bring it up is that's obviously very strong magnets. So from what I understand of how it works, they produce a magnetic field that forces your protons in your body to align. So it's basically like every atom in your body like points the same direction at the same time. So then we get an image of like basically your whole body. Like you can look at a scanned image of it, because everything's like aligning up. And then when you turn it off, everything goes back to random patterns. But it like basically is a strong enough magnet to pull everything in line. And so we can see it, which is crazy.
That is crazy.
They're able to detect those. Yeah, their sensors are able to detect the proton alignment.
So it's not like they're sending radiation through there or anything.
No, so it's just that you go in there and they magnetize the whole thing, and it causes your protons, all the protons in every atom of your body to align, and that therefore their sensors can see that, and it's basically gives them a full scan of your inside your body. Isn't that crazy? How the hell did they figure that out? That kind of shit always amazes me.
Well, you know who figured it out? Probably someone that went to the Palmer School.
Oh, you're right. So for reference, the magnets that they use in MRI machines are between 0.5 Tesla to 3 Tesla, which would be anywhere from 5,000 to 30,000 Gauss. So let's look at some ranges here. So 10,000 Gauss equals 1 Tesla. For reference, a refrigerator magnet, like you would hold up, some fun stuff on the fridge, like when John gets a A+ on his serial killers quiz. Which he's got tons of these on the fridge. I've been to his house. It's just like John Wayne Gacy, 100, It's on and on, man. So refrigerator magnets are 100 Gauss. So the magnetic bracelets, they claim to be anywhere from 300 to 1,000 Gauss, but like it's hard to test those. The underwear claimed that up to 5,000 Gauss.
Holy Jesus.
So that's pretty strong in there.
Yeah.
So MRI machines, like we said, can go up to 30,000. And so why do we bring this up? Okay, so...
Can I ask one question right quick?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so you're saying the MRI, or you're saying the underwear is 5,000 and the MRI is 30,000. Could you not theoretically wear 6 pairs of underwear to get that same level?
It's not like a compounding effect.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know what it would do. Yeah, because I don't think it's not like it wouldn't magnify it. I guess they would just all stick together. It may be a little stronger, but I don't know, man. Magnets kind of confuse me. They always have. That's why I got Leo to explain them on here. It's like magic, dude. That probably when they found them, they were like, "Holy shit!" Like that. So originally, the first lodestone, they said some dude was wearing like flip-flops or something, and they nailed those down with iron tacks, and it his foot kept being drawn to this rock, and he's like, what the hell is this magic? And
that's crazy.
So
they say so I'm not sure exactly, but I know in the future, like 70,000 or 100,000 years from now, the magnetic north is going to switch to the magnetic south. Everything's just going to flip.
I've heard that. I don't really understand how that works. I've heard that theory too. I don't know. I mean, why would it?
I'm just throwing that out
Neil
there.
deGrasse Tyson could tell us. I know. I have heard that too.
Trying to sound.
I don't really
smart.
know.
Yeah,
you are smart, man. You're more well read than me on this stuff for sure. This is more your kind of range, man. This is your people's
I don't understand it, man. I do read a lot of science, but dude, I don't even understand it.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Because, I mean, you can say as much as you want, like, the way the electrons flow in sequence over an object attracts another. And sure, you could say that gravity is the same kind of thing. Like, it's no different, like, magnet pulling something this way as it is something falling down here. But we've lived with gravity our whole lives, man. Magnets, man, they're magic.
Yeah.
They're pretty cool. So the reason I bring up a MRI machine and bring up the ranges of the strength of the magnets would be that all these different things, like the wristbands, the underwear, whatever, okay, none of them are as strong as an MRI machine, right? If magnetic force affected our body, then an MRI machine would be too strong. It would just completely mess us up. I mean, if it pulled your blood, if you put just a wristband was able to pull it to your hand, you put that MRI machine in there, it wouldn't just make us explode? Your body, yeah. I mean, the blood would be flying out of you, right? So an MRI machine wouldn't work then. It would be dangerous. And so that kind of debunks most magnet therapy. Of course, then we have to get into what they actually use magnets for. So there's this thing, it's called transcranial magnetic stimulation. Have you heard of this?
No, but I want to sell it.
No, it's approved.
Oh,
it's
shit.
Actually an approved treatment. It's a non-invasive procedure that uses magnetic fields to stimulate nerve cells in the brain to improve symptoms of depression. TMS is typically used when other depression treatments haven't been effective.
Wait, this sounds just like the other stuff, though, man.
I know, dude. I'm telling you, I can't understand how this works differently, but it is actually... This is like, I found this on the Mayo Clinic. Like, this is a legitimate
So they must be using a
treatment.
real strong magnet.
Yeah, and they put it directly, on your head. But they're saying, like, it doesn't work for everyone's. But they've done, like, research. Like, it's an official treatment. Which is, which to me is just crazy that, like, what the hell is going on in there? I don't know.
Yeah, do they even know what's going on in there?
They said it just takes 40 minutes, you're awake.
It's kind of like electroshock therapy. They say it works, but they can't explain how it works. It's like, well, shit,
Yeah.
If they can't explain how these magnets work, then...
Is this like they're rubbing something really hard up against someone's head and like the feeling of it,
Yeah.
I don't know. Or is it, it's approved. So apparently, maybe we'll do an episode in a few years where we find out that was false too. But this is right now the only approved thing. Well, John, I saved the best for last, my friend. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
Male enhancement underwear.
Oh, my God.
You thought the girls were the only people who could get the underwear.
Dude, how have I never seen this before?
No, sir. Yeah, this popped up when I just typed in magnet therapy. This was like the boom. Magnahance. Satisfaction without drugs.
Yeah.
So they got a picture here. We'll put it up on quackerypodcast.com. It's like basically some boxer briefs with magnets all in the crotch.
Yeah.
But this picture also looks like it's got like these like electrifying magnets like going right to your dong. And it has this picture. It's like before. And it says period. I'm not sure what period it is. A period of time. And then 3 months later, whoa!
Fucking, you're finally erect.
It took you 3 months to get a boner because this magnet underwear. Oh,
dude, I bet this guy goes, I bet this guy slays.
I bet he makes some cash, man. I can't believe we missed this one in our male enhancement episode.
Yeah.
There's just so many products. It's almost impossible. We did 2 episodes and we still missed stuff.
I've never seen this, man. If I haven't seen it, then I wouldn't expect you to see it.
That is true. That is true.
3 months later, he's erect.
That's something, man. He's like, all the time, baby. You're not going to be able to wear the underwear anymore. You're going to rip them off. So it's supposed to increase the blood flow and give bigger, fuller erections. It's supposed to actually, they say make it larger and harder. Everything that we like. So, any questions about the magnet therapy? This was just kind of a quick rundown.
Nope, I already knew that stuff. Like, I remember seeing the bracelets all the time. Every time you go to the mall, those things are not cheap, dude. Those things are like $60, And like,
dude, they're so expensive.
Can I ask you one thing? And it's not related to well, it kind of is. But what about the copper? Knee braces.
Yeah. I thought about looking that up for this episode, but I think we'll do other episode on that. I don't think there's anything to copper. I think it's the same kind of thing, but I'll check it out.
Yeah.
We'll turn on the quackery machine and we'll figure it out.
Sweet.
That's a good request there. So, well, with that, I think that'll do it here for John Boy and Pilly. If this episode really quacked y'all up, you want to support the crew, head on over to quackerypodcast.com/join, become an official quackhead. Make sure and hit that subscribe button. Follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Make sure and rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. It means a huge deal for that. Tell your friends, and as always, keep calm and quackity quack on. so I'll let you know. I got a 20-pack of magnet underwear coming on Amazon. It was expensive, but I think it's going to be worth it.